Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are inside the lodge today and we are waiting for the rain to kind of dissipate. The good Lord has shined down on us lately and has given us some really good rainfall. Seems like it's kind of one side or the other, if you will, across the country. A lot of the spring crops weren't able to get in the ground in the Midwest because of the amount of water that they were getting. Other parts of the country were real dry, like we were early summer, early spring. And now, for the most part, I've heard that most of the country is experiencing some rainfall, which is a blessing. Kind of hard to believe that we are in August. By the time that you're seeing this video, probably around the 1st of August. And that is kind of the mindset that we're going to start talking more on, start digging into getting our mind ready for that fall food plotting. And today we're going to kind of dive deeper into two ways, a couple of different ways and a couple of different reasons that I have tried over the years. And that theory is a blend, planting blends versus a monoculture of certain seeds. And I think what you'll find, guys, it's no secret that I'm more on a no-till approach here that I test and that I promote, but I'm not totally against tilling, right? There is a place for tilling. I just have found myself leaning more towards the no-till and really trying to perfect that. And so that's the tilling part of it, and the seed part of it ties right in to that, because I think it goes hand in hand. If you're doing one, maybe if you're doing a blend, maybe the no-till is the way to go. If you're doing a monoculture, maybe the tillage is the way to go. So to say you have to do one or the other, one hat fits all, I don't find that theory to fit everyone across the country. To be honest with you, when we're speaking about tilling or prep of the food plot area, I would be willing to bet that probably 80% of people are still doing some sort of tilling. And I think that tilling, first and foremost, is probably something that you could teach and kind of use more as a blanket teaching, if you will, that would cover more people, kind of that one hat fits all. You got different grounds, different soil types, what tillage tool you're using, all that plays into it. But I think in general, it's easier to train or help people with a tillage approach than it is a no-till. And why I touch on the tillage part of it, guys, is because it directly attaches to the seed choice, or the monoculture versus the blends when you're going to plant. So getting into this one, guys, is the heading of this one is why the blends are the best, why I feel they are the best. It comes with a learning curve, but I'm going to show you a couple reasons today, guys, that I have switched to that, and the hurdles and the education's part of that we're still trying to polish, if you will. So we're going to touch first and foremost, guys, on there's a rhyme and a reason for tillage and for monoculture planting. So let's start there. There's a system out there, much like this is kind of split in two ways, but there's a system out there that John Comp at Northwoods Whitetails, for example, he promotes, and it's a 3-strip system, and that system works very well. There's a lot of folks around the country that have a lot of good success with that type of system, but to me, the system that I do, I can't totally do it that way because it would leave me stranded at a certain point. So the system is you take all your greens, and you when you're not planting a blend, you take your greens and your grains and you separate them. So So the theory is that your greens and your grains will compete with each other, and one of them is going to not be as productive because it's a competition. So what they're doing is they take, like John's is actually three separations, maybe greens, legumes, and grains, and then he rotates them. Like I said, it works. A lot of folks use that. The monoculture part of it is very easy for a couple things to do. One, if you have a monoculture, let's say of greens and grains and legumes, or however that's separated apart, what you find is, for example, your greens, let's just throw brassicas into the greens, right? If you are managing for broadleaf and broadleaf only, it's easy to maintain because you can spray. You can spray a selective herbicide for grasses, let's say, in there, and you can keep your grasses at bay. On the grain side of it, if it's cereal, rye, oats, wheat, something like that, that's all planted together and there's no focus on broadleaf, then when broadleaf weeds come into that, then it's easy to maintain because you can spray a selective herbicide that takes care of broadleaf. But the problem is that I can't use that to a full effect, and the reason for that is it leaves, at some point, it leaves my system short. So I'm going to explain that to you. So what they do, guys, like I said, they split that apart, keep everything separate, and it's easy to maintain. But one of these sections, like brassica, for example, one of your sections is going not to have a cereal rye in it. So my system is, in the spring of next year, if you plant it this way right now, next year, this portion, let's just say this is an acre and an acre. This is an acre, and we're splitting this in half, so it's a half acre. This half acre right here isn't going to have your grains on it unless you let this area mature and then you put more cereal rye over everything. This section isn't going to have that cereal rye next spring. So my system, as we come in the spring, after I plant my summer blends, I'm actually taking that cover crop, if you will, and rolling it down on that entire area. And if it's not planted in the fall, it's not going to be there in the spring. So that's one of my major things that I have focused on, a more of a blend system, summer and fall, because I need that cover crop. I need that 3-4 foot tall rye in that dough stage when I am planting my summer blends. So hope that one makes sense. This system, guys, really works. John's system's that three strip system that he promotes really works. But I think what you'll find here, guys, is and don't quote me on this, but like John's theory and a lot of folks, what they do is when they plant this in the fall, they actually till this, incorporate it, a light till, right? I think a lot of folks out there are learning that light till is better than a heavy till, so we're not totally making a powder out of it, right? You're still leaving that organic matter kind of stemmy, if you will, built up in there, so that soil profile's got some structure. So if it does come a gully washer, as they say in the South, it doesn't take everything away. So this area would be planted to like a soil builder, let's say, in the summer. They come in and lightly disc this area, or this whole acre, and then they plant these in separate. So it works. It works very well. So ground and equipment comes into play too, right? Ground and equipment comes into play as far as like my ground here in Kentucky. And I've shared, pictures and footage and stuff like that with you guys here, shared some of that with John. This area in Kentucky is very, very hard on equipment. So I want to till less. I don't want to till at all if I don't have to, kind of thing, right? I'm on my second disc right now, if that helps you kind of, tunes you in a little bit on where I'm at as far as how hard it is on equipment. So less till for me is better. So I can't, one, I don't have the cover crop at the end, and two, I can't do even the light till that this theory and this way of planting, this method really needs, right? So does it work? Absolutely. Does it work for everybody? No. Much like this system doesn't work for everybody, right? So this system over here, guys, that we're going to talk about using the blends in a no-till approach with a crimper, let's say, that method that we have listed over here, all of your seeds are planted together. So when we're talking about a seeding rate, let's say, right? So let's start here. When we plant, no matter which way, which one of these theories that you're using or methods that you're using, what you'll find is when you're broadcasting, for example, right? When you're planting a blend or a monoculture, you're going to have a seeding rate. Monocultures are higher than blends. So in other words, if you're planting all brassicas, let's say you're planting all turnips, let's say, purple top turnips or something like that, you're going to be in that 8 to 10 pounds per acre rating. If you're planting a blend, you can't plant 8 pounds of turnips, 8 pounds of eco-till radish, 120 pounds of rye, buckwheat, all of that at a high rate. You have to fit those into that blend. So your seeding rate is lower per seed, per species. Hope that makes sense. So let's just use the whitetail driven fall south that we're going to be planting here on the farm. We have a driven north as well. Let's just use that south blend, and that is planted at about 80 pounds per acre, drilled rate, right? And if you're broadcasting, you need to plant about 20 to 30% more. And the reason for that is you're not going to get the exact perfect seed to soil contact. Some of the birds are going to eat some of that seed. So you need to plant a little bit more. So one of the reasons that we go to this, guys, is it gets down to, at the end of it, when we break it all apart, right, which is better to do, it really comes down to what I've got listed here, guys, in the center as a square footage issue. So what I do is this whole area would be planted to our whitetail driven summer south that we had planted back in June. And I showed you videos of that on the last video. That's 4, 5, 6 foot tall beans, sorghums, legumes, and it's got a little summer food to it, but we're building soil, right? So that's all standing in here. And what we're going to do with a blend, I'm going to take that blend in at that, if I'm broadcasting at about 100 pounds per acre, I'm going to take that in and we're going to seed that right into that standing summer crop. Then what I'm going to do, if I'm broadcasting, I'm going to do a survey of what's on, what I'm looking at in that area, in my plot. If it has weeds or grasses, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to plant, crimp, and then spray. So as I plant that in, then we run the crimper over it. You're going to set that seed in the ground with crimping, kind of as a cultipacker. You've got that good vegetation, and we lay all that down is because you need more seed to soil connection, right? And we're getting more plot armor. Yes, we are terminating by crimping and spraying. We are terminating some of that summer food, but we're gaining that with some plot armor. If you're drilling into this situation, guys, then like I said in the last video, you just drill into that standing crop, take a survey of how your weeds and your grasses are, and you don't crimp. If you don't have a lot of weeds and grasses, you just drill into it and you have the perfect seed to soil contact. So kind of take that for what it's worth, right? Where you're at. Like we talked about in the last video, every situation is a little bit different. Every year could be a little bit different. One year on the farm here I can plant a blend in that acre food plot and in the fall, and I might just broadcast and the weeds are at bay and my thatch layer has acted as that weed suppressant. That plot is very healthy and I can just seed into it right before a real strong rain, and I don't have to crimp. The perfect world, right? The other hand, if I'm still building soil and I'm still, now my thatch layer isn't just as strong as I want it, I might have to seed, crimp, and spray. So every year is different, right? Some of your plots you might have to crimp in the same year, some of them you don't. What I'm finding, guys, here in Kentucky is I'm finding that I'm planting my summer blends over the entire acre or acreage, right? Then I'm going and I'm planting that, I'm crimping, and I'm spraying in the spring. Then I'm going into my fall planting here in middle of August, weather dependent, and I am having to plant, crimp, and spray because I'm trying to master the art of broadcasting. There's kind of an overview of why I can't do this completely. Not that I can't test this, not that I don't agree with it at all, because it does work. But what I'm trying to polish, if you will, to master the art of that broadcasting, it has to start in the fall. So if you're looking to start this system with the blends, I highly recommend starting it in the fall. Maybe you do have to go after it harsh with the chemicals, and you have to really get that as pure as you possibly can and have a great stand of rye. The quicker that you can get your rye to be the best rye stand that it can possibly be by next June when you go to plant your summer blends, the faster your fall blends that you're planting are going to be. So the quicker you can get it accomplished, the quicker your fall blends are going to benefit. So one of the things, guys, that I really like to focus on with the blends is teaching folks. We talk about the rye above ground and what it does plot armor, and I like to really talk, guys, about what it's doing below the ground as well. Below the ground is just as important, if not more important, than what it's giving us above the ground. In a blend situation, I really feel that it fits with kind of nature's way of amending soil, right? So we're doing this in the summer with a blend to build that soil, to build that organic matter, to have the best chance at a successful fall planting that we possibly can. I really feel, guys, without a blended program, without using a blend in the summer, you are probably cutting your success rate back by, let's just say, 50%, right? You don't have a summer blend, so you're not promoting the soil health that a lot of folks do when you're just doing grains and greens in a monoculture, let's say. So you're only focused on fall food. If you're only focused on fall food, you better hope that soil that you're planting into is really healthy to begin with, because if it's not, you're really setting yourself back. You're really kind of almost handcuffing yourself into kind of painting yourself into a corner, maybe is the term to use. You're relying just on a short window, a short 45-day, 60-day window for that nutrition to be spot on in that plot to grow those fall plots. And sadly, I'm going to say that probably 90% of the time it's not. If you start the blend situation, guys, I really believe that it will amend your soil, much like they do, or John does here, or many folks do when you do a soil builder. I really believe that even if the summer blends doesn't have any food value to it, it's all just meant for organic, organic building, like John's soil builder that he actually has right through Northwoods Whitetails there. that is kind of a base of what our blend is with John, but our blend has summer food into it for the training piece and the invitation piece that that we use for the deer, right? So so a lot of moving parts there, guys, but there are some very valuable pieces. Why grains versus greens method, planting a separate monoculture versus a planting blends, and how to plant them is very strong. I guess I'll close on this one, guys, is over the years, I've tried the monoculture, obviously the monoculture versus the blends, right? And one of the major things that I see that a blend has to offer that a monoculture planting doesn't is I see that my fall food plots last a lot longer than when I planted a monoculture. And the reason for that is, guys, the deer are very selective eaters, right? But they're also a lot like other animals when they target when they find a mature plant or a species that they want to target, they kind of go through that gorge system, if you will, right? They can devour. Beans are a perfect example of that, right? Plant an acre of beans and it's there one day and it's not the next. That is what you get with a monoculture, because they go to one spot and they don't leave that spot. They don't move through that food plot. A blend, I really hope everybody can experience how the deer react to the blends, is because the reason that food plot lasts longer is the reason for that, right, is because they're moving through it. It's taller, it's jagged, it's not the polished, 30-inch brassica look. They are actually hidden in it. Our fall blend is even, tall, not as tall as a summer blend, obviously, but it's jagged, right? And they feel secure in it. But when they eat, they're not putting their head down and being able to eat and look at the same time like they would be in clover, alfalfa, certain brassicas, something like that, right? Short grains only. What they do is they take a bite and they pick their heads back up, survey the area, they walk, pick another bite, survey the area, and it really keeps motion. Now, some will say that there's not any truth to that, guys. I really promote that and really believe that. I've got a couple of food plots here, guys, that I can see from the house or from the lodge here in central Kentucky. About an acre's worth of them, 300 yards away up a valley. And it's shocking to see how much that they actually are in that earlier in the day, and also how much they move through that. So the object is, no matter which one of these that you're planning and which one you choose to go with, the object is to have all of this working for you and promoting daylight movement on a property, right? 30-inch brassicas are great, but a blend, I feel, is offers so much more for you, because it's soil health, that we're getting these deer to use the area earlier during the day, which translates into maybe better success rates, more opportunity, especially early season. Really has so much to offer. We're building good soil below that top of the ground, right? We're seeing the benefits above ground. It's working for us below the ground. And I really think that at the end of the day, when we start looking at multiple pieces of the puzzle, the square footage thing really plays into it. And what we're doing, guys, is we're taking, every year we take that blend and we tweak it. I've got tests here going on the farm with our fall blends, north and south, and our northern stuff is being tested up north, obviously. But what we're doing is we're seeing how much of that bulky food we can put in that fall blend without setting it back. In other words, not stunting anything. How much can we actually put in there to really create a big, healthy buffet, if you will, of a food plot program. So that's where I'm going. That's what I promote. It's not that I don't promote this sometimes. Shot plots versus food plots, we've talked about that. My shot plots are monoculture. They're chicory, clover and or chicory in my shot plots, guys, are hunting plots. So it's not that I'm against it totally. It's just, I really believe that there's a lot to be said for understanding the no-till approach, the crimping, the cover crop with blends. And it's a learning curve and it takes a little bit longer. But I think once you get into that, once you start tapping into it, you'll really probably take this more to heart than you probably have in the past, when you really see how ground responds to it. And what we're doing, I guess at the end of the day, right guys, in closing, what we're doing as land stewards, we're not just planting a fall food plot. We're not just, forgetting about deer until August and planting a fall food plot, fencing it off, and not letting the deer in there until we want to hunt them, right? If you're doing that, you're only planting a fall food plot and you're fencing that stuff off and you're not letting the deer into it, I don't think that we should be giving anybody land steward of the year trophies, because it's all about the hunt, about the harvest, right? I don't like using the K word, but I mean, it's all about the hunt and the harvest. It's not about the soil building, the amendment side of it, the herd health side of it. And the reason I go there, guys, I'm not, trying to be a tree hugger about that any means, but the reason that I try to train folks to get that mentality is it's a training tool for the deer 365 days a year. And when you do that, I think that a blended property, no pun intended, but a blended property fits right into that when we're working on the property 365 days a year, incorporating more of a blend situation where we're putting summer and fall, whether your summer has summer food in it or not, but we're working on that soil health, amending the soil, herd health, and the huntability of the property, the longevity, the huntability of the property. I really believe, guys, that it all ties to blends. So if you are using this, nothing against you at all. I think it's a great method. John Comp, for example, Wealth of Knowledge, uses this, and he does a light till, not a heavy till, a light till, and it works. I've stood in his plots with him, and it's a great way to build organic matter and to really have a successful food plot. But I think if you're going with a blend only, I think the blend and the no-till with the crimping method is the way to go. So hopefully that clears some stuff up, guys, about where my mind is at as fall food plotting, what we're testing, what we got going on, what I believe in, what I don't believe in. And kind of a update, I guess you will, guys, to try to help you guys follow along with us as we try to master the art of broadcasting, maybe aerating and crimping and seeding, some stuff like that. That's actually cheaper than buying this $20,000 drill. If you have the big tractor, I say big tractor, 50 horse tractor, whatever the case is, you have a seed drill, guys, that's awesome. I'm not taking that from anybody. I want that very clear. I'm not taking that from anybody. I wish everybody could afford a tractor and everybody could afford a drill, but I've got the ground to do it here, guys. I do this for a living. I sold my tractor, my 50 horse tractor, and that's how dedicated I am to making this system work with kind of more of a broadcast or a overseeding method. So can you do it with without with big expensive equipment? Absolutely. And this, I just believe in the system, and I believe, like I said, guys, I really believe in a blended property ties directly to using blends in your food plotting programs.